Hello, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was just finished setting some things up. It is Sunday night again, and it is time for another live stream. Now, this one is actually a bit different than normal because it's actually my birthday today. So, but I'm still streaming. Nothing has changed. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I'm just old. However, it is actually my birthday, and I'm having a cup of tea to celebrate that as well. And by the end of the live stream, I probably will have a beer too. So, hello to everyone who is watching. Good evening, 25 of you amazing, fantastic people. Hello, Mike. How are you? Jumping through the chat. Good evening, William. Good evening, Papa Gamer. Hope you are safe and well. Snapshot Drones. Hello, hello, hello. Robert Nelson. Cassian Carl, hi, William, I think I said hello. Mike, Tony, good evening, everyone. I hope you are safe and well. So tonight, we've got some things to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming DJI Action 2, is what we assume it's going to be called, because this thing has leaked pretty much everything now that we want to know. We can see there are some details we don't fully know, and we're going to talk a bit about it tonight because I'm really interested in how people think about this and feel about this from an FPV standpoint, because there's been a lot of interest in this new camera for FPV. And the reason for that is obviously GoPro has dumped the session models quite some time ago, or at least they haven't updated them in some time. And the Hero 8, 9, and 10, whilst are great cameras, are still not ideal for what we want. And this new Action 2's form factor does look somewhat ideal. However, the more details we have, the more things do concern me, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we move through. We are also going to talk about the updates for ExpressLRS, which is 1.2, because we're going to be talking about ExpressLRS a lot more, so I'm going to be addressing that in live streams as well as videos. We're also going to talk about the update for HD0, because the camera should be here with me in the next couple of days, and they have finally released the firmware for that. We'll talk a bit as well around the Mavic 3, that is not far around the corner. And at the end, I may give some thoughts on the new DJI Ronin 4D. And whilst that isn't a subject for everyone, it is a subject I've actually been heavily involved in the past, because I used to help run the DJI Facebook groups, and I specifically helped run the Ronin groups among the FPV, because the Ronin was another device that I'd used quite a lot of, and I was heavily involved in that group as well. So the product really does interest me, and there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about on that one. Now, as always, guys, I'm also here to answer your questions. So if there is anything you want to know, you want to ask as the stream goes on, please do let me know. We are open to accepting super chats. If you want to support the channel, you can also support us, though, by hitting the subscribe button as well. I'm also going to promote this, and let me get it up ready, and because it's something I need to do more of, and that is the Discord server. If you don't know, I do have a Discord server as well, and if you're interested in joining it, there is a link in the description. Please do consider coming on board and saying hello. It's been building up quite nicely, and I'm not doing it to compete with anyone else's, because look, I'll be completely open and honest. I am a member of JB's Discord, and JB's is absolutely fantastic. It really is. It has some amazing people there, and it's not about making one better than the other. This one for me was about just doing something myself and posting some nonsense and some stuff like that as well. But we do have the Discord if you are interested, and a massive thank you to everyone who supports us on that one too. Now, I'm just going to catch back up on the chat. Good evening, Mike. Good evening, Steve. Baby Junkie. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're safe and well. I am also recording tonight's live stream, and I'm also going to try putting some bits up in the week off it as well. I'm also using a different camera tonight. I don't know if anyone can tell, but this camera is different tonight as well. the camera I normally use for this is that one here today. Oh my God, I got the focus out on that one. What's happening there? Oh, I know what's happening there. I turned it off. There you go. That's better. We normally use this camera here. However, I'm using a different one here tonight. I'm going to see if anyone can guess which one it is. Now, I'm going to start the live stream just talking about something I did to myself this week. And that is that I ended up stabbing myself in the hand with a soldering iron this week and ended up in A&E for about 4 hours. Now, I'm going to show you guys because it's just a little bit of one of those things. For those who are watching, actually, let me put that back up a second. For those who are watching, I've done some stuff on that ExpressLRS receiver where I was having problems, and I moved over to a different nib I had for my soldering iron, and I've left it in the car because I had to take it to A&E with me. But it was basically the needle point tip for the soldering iron that I was using for the very small surface mount work, and I was swapping between two soldering irons nibs, and I was swapping over one to the other, and being in a bit of a rush and not doing things properly, I had the new tip in a pair of pliers and I was pushing it onto the soldering iron like that. Rather than, though, the tip go onto the iron, what actually happened was the pliers slipped and the tip went into my finger. Now, I'm just going to show you this. Don't worry, it's not gruesome or nothing like that. But you guys can see, ignore my long nails because I had to leave them a moment. You can see that black dot there. Let me just come up and focus that. Oh, where is it? No, it's here somewhere. Here we go. Where is it? There you go. You can see that little, the focus thing will disappear in a second, don't worry. But you can see the little black dot. And what I actually did was stab myself through the fingernail into my finger and then back out. Now, as Mike said, ouch, at least it was cauterized. Unfortunately, it wasn't because it was cold. So that was last Saturday I did that. And unfortunately, then on Monday, my finger started to hurt quite a lot. Didn't bleed a lot, swole up. It was infected. So I ended up going to see the GP, who threw me a course of antibiotics. And then when you need to go to A&E to get your tetanus done, because apparently they couldn't find any records of my tetanus, so I ended up spending some time up there. So remember, folks, when you are doing this stuff, try not to hurt yourself. I spent from 10 o'clock at night till nearly 2 a.m. in A&E, middle of the week, unfortunately. But these things happen. But it is fine. It's not a major injury, nothing like that. It is just it. But I can tell you now, stabbing yourself through the fingernail with a needlepoint tip, and it must have gone in about 7 mil. I reckon it did go into my finger a good 7-8 mil. Hurt like hell, and I don't advise it. So there's a tip for you guys. So yeah, be careful out there when you're doing this stuff, and rather than take a shortcut like I did, do it properly. Do it properly. So before we get on, if you got any questions, guys, as I've already said, please do let me know. Let me just get myself in the position. I've always been scared of doing that. It was a very fast injury in the sense of it was in and out before I knew it. But it hurt like hell. And the weird part was, like, Monday my hand started to hurt. Tuesday it was quite bad. And, like, I was driving back from somewhere Tuesday night, and I was at the stage where I couldn't actually use my hand. And it was like, this is not good now. The pain I had, it was infected, so it wasn't going well. And it was a particularly dirty soldering iron tip. But I'm hoping now I've got to let the nail grow down. It still is tender. It's nothing fantastic. I've done myself some major damage over the years compared to this. The irony of this one is it is minuscule compared to some of the injuries I've caused myself in cars, working on motorbikes. I nearly took my fingers off working on a car one day. I nearly took my thumb off working on a Harley, because I used to have a Harley. So over the years I've done some real good injuries, but this one was like one of those ones that's like, really, that is going to get infected? But it did. So there we go. Okay, so the first subject, and the first thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to get over to the desktop view, and that is, guys, this new Osmo. Because we've seen a lot of leaks on this in the last couple of days, and we've had almost everything we ever need to know on this product, if I'm honest. You know, everything there is to know has leaked mostly. We've got the instructions, we've got everything. And again, it's this Jasper Ellens, who seems a nice guy, has been leaking a lot of it. And obviously, we've had some stuff like the Peter McKinnon leak was one of them. But there's been a lot more, and we've now sort of been seeing the unit in action. You can see it there, and I'm going to talk about how this appears to work and what we understand from it now. And there's a video here somewhere. There's a video here showing them removing this magnetic lens off the front of it, which is quite interesting. And I can see screw holes for that as well, which will be good for FPV. And then you've got this module at the bottom, and then you've obviously got this type of area here. Now, the way this camera seems set up is you've got the main camera itself. So if I go on this picture here, you've got the main camera module, which has a screen on the back, which is the main unit. It has a small built-in battery. It has 32 gigs of memory on board, and it uses a 1/1/7 of an inch sensor, which is quite a little bit bigger than what the GoPro uses. Sorry, that's the main camera module at the top there. Sorry, so you've got the main camera module, and then on the back of that is a screen. You've then got a second module, and there appears to be two versions of this second module. There's a version of it which is just a battery, and there is a version of it which is a battery and a screen for viewing the image from the front, just like on the Osmo Action. So the initial camera model, and if we, let's just find the video. There's a video showing it in more use somewhere here. Is it these images? You can see here, so that's the camera module. Yeah, that's the same one. Let's have a look. So that's the camera module on its own, and that's it compared to the sizing of the other units. So you've obviously got the DJI, you've got the GoPros, you've got the Session, as well as the Beta FPV. There is also a video roaming round, which I'm trying to, which there should be here somewhere. I'll show it in a second, which shows you someone handling it, and it shows a bit of latency. Now, you can see here, the module here, it's got these connections on the bottom, and it does have the LCD screen on the back, and this appears to be the battery version. So there's no front-mounted LCD screen on this one. This is just the version with the battery. Now, one thing that isn't clear on this, and let me just scroll down to see if I can find the video that showed it, is if the main unit takes an SD card. That's interesting. It's not there. Let me find the video on the Discord server. 1 second. It was posted on one of them earlier. Let me just find it. There is a video of this that sort this one here, right? So this is on YouTube, and I'm going to put this full screen, and we're going to mute it. Just get past the ad. Now this shows the device in use. So if we go right to the start, you can see we've got the device at the front. So we've got here the camera module at the top. You've got a stand on the bottom, and then the screen module or the battery module at the bottom. So he's rotated it round, and he's showing you on the top, around the device, what it looks like. So looking at it from this angle here, you've got the camera module here with the back LCD, and the front LCD module and battery. But also note, here is the SD card slot, okay? This is where the SD card goes in. We know from the spec this module will take has 32 gigs of RAM, but it looks like there is actually no SD card slot on the camera module if you use it on its own, and it's only on the battery or battery and LCD backpack. Now, in this video, they actually show it turning on, and there's a lot of lag. This isn't how it's going to be. I'm assuming this is an early firmware, or there's a problem with this one. No way will the unit be like this in real world. You can also see there's a microphone there at the back as well. He's just turning it on, and you'll see it power up. There we go. So you've got the screen at the back, which is part of the main camera module, and he's showing you it's the latency, and it's quite high. But it won't be like that on official release. They'll sort that. and then he flips it around the other side. But it's clear to me that this is the LCD part down here. Yeah, you can see, look, the latency on that is just not right at all. There's no way that's normal. DJI would not ship it like that. I can tell you now. That, you know, they're not the kind of company that does that. So that is what the setup looks like right now on this. Now, just going back let me just find Jasper's post again. Now, he does have the specs listed here, and there are some question marks. Yeah, the unit does not take an SD card. You need to attach the screen module. Yeah, it does seem like that, Don, unless you've got one of you, Lon. It does seem to be the case. It's a bit annoying the way they've written the specs, because if I just find the specs on it, the specs sort of imply that on the camera module it'll take the SD card, because they mention that in that section. They mentioned that in the camera section of the spec, not the other bit. Where are they? They were here somewhere. There's been a lot of leaks on this product. There's been so many leaks. But it is looking interesting. Here we go. So we've got some of the specs here. So we've got the user manual. You've just showing the status, what's going on. So you've got the camera unit. So if we look at it, it's 56 grams, waterproof to 10 meters, screen, 1/17 of an inch CMOS sensor. Now, this is really interesting, 155 degrees field of view, f2.8, all the usual, 12 megapixels, all the usual stuff, 4K 60. But if you do look, they do mention 32 gigabyte of onboard storage. And then when you go to the second spec, this is still for the camera unit, and they do recommend SD cards. So it's a bit weird that they've put that in that section of the spec. In the unit, it's got a built-in battery, which is 580 milliamp hour, and they say that will run it, where's the spec? Approximately 70 minutes off that. That's what they're saying. And then you got two modules. You've got this action touchscreen module, which weighs 64 grams, 2S LiPo, 1300 milliamp hour. So that extra module has another battery in. And then there was another spec which showed it for just the battery section, and that again was a little bit lighter, not dramatically, 8 grams, but it still had the same battery. But it does seem like that SD card, but Lon might have confirmed that for us. It looks like that is the case. Now, from a size point of view, this is looking really interesting. However, there are some concerns that I have on this product for FPV. That latency isn't going to be right, in my opinion. But my concerns with this product for FPV is this. This is made from aluminium. This casing is aluminium. If we look at some of the images of the back of it, if I just find it, let's just go here. Here we go. So this is a picture of the box at the back of the main. Is that the main module? No, that's the bottom module. I just want to find the back of the main camera module. I like that. That is really clever. That is. I'm just trying to find. Okay, it's back on that video which I showed. If we go on this, my concern with this is this glass is end to end, and this is an aluminium frame. And literally any crash, this glass is going to go ping. End game. You're possibly going to bend in the sides. I don't know how rugged this is going to be for FPV compared to, say, a plastic GoPro. It's going to need some protection. Now, we can do that in TPU. It's not a massive thing, but it's something we're going to need to understand how it stands out. That is, you know, any tap on this, it's like an iPhone. That's the reality of this. You know, any tap here, here, or here, it's going to be ping. We've all experienced it on smartphones. We know what it's going to do. Quad Dork says, do you get the crash warranties? DJI will do key refresh. If it's anything like their current key, you can have 2 replacements in a year. Price-wise, it's very favorable, but the GoPro one is better because it's 2 a year ongoing, whereas DJI isn't. But that's on the current one. That isn't on the permanent one, but that is my main concern, is how well. Now, as Lon says, you're going to have to have a mount that'll protect it 100%. And I think you're going to see some people come up with some really interesting mounts. Half a pound of glue won't fix. It's going to be interesting to see how fixable this is. Can we make a plastic housing? That's the question. But it does look very interesting. There is a hell of a lot to like here for FPV, especially just on the size. This magnetic mount is quite cool, and it does look like there's screw holes available for that too, so it doesn't have to be magnetic. GoPro do have their own warranty, which it is more expensive to do the GoPro, but you can keep doing it, if you know what I mean. But really interesting. Pricing on this isn't looking cheap. The torque, does the screen unplug and leave the camera? So, Madman, so you've got the main camera module with a screen on the back, and that has its own 580 milliamp hour battery and 32 gigs of onboard storage. So that module there will work on its own. It'll run for 70 odd minutes, 32 gigs of onboard storage, sealed on its own with a screen on the back. This module is going to be available as just a battery or a battery and a screen, which will add an additional 1300 milliamp hours of battery. It looks like it adds the SD card slot, and you can have it with or without a screen. Now, I haven't looked at the spec fully, but I'm not sure. I'm guessing this module isn't waterproof. This one will be, that one will not. That's what I could be wrong, and I'm trying to find. Let me just find the rest of the specs that were posted up. Here we go. So the rest of the specs on the modules are here. So you got the power module. So the specs we've got is this one, which is the main spec, and then you got the touchscreen module. So again, 64 grams, 2S 1300 milliamp hour LiPo, and then if we hop over to this image, camera unit and front screen, and this will add an operating time of camera unit and front screen module 160 minutes. So it'll go up from 70 to 160. And then the camera Action 2 power module weighs 8 grams less, still the same battery, but there's no talk of any waterproofing or anything here, whereas the original camera does have waterproofing. So it looks like the route DJI have gone with this is you can have this, which is waterproof, and take it and do all that stuff, but if you want the extra functionality, you need the module. Now, pricing, I have seen pricing. Let me just find it. It is said to be over £500 and dollars for the Action 2 kit with the camera, with the screen stroke battery module. And let me just find it. And then it was, let me just find it. There's been pricing released in the UK. There has. One dealer in the UK has shared some pricing. Whether he should have or not is another thing. But it has been shared. Here we go. So the normal power combo, just to show that, is £349, which is the top camera and the battery unit. $299. Yeah, there we go. Which is about $350-$250. There's no need for waterproofing on the vlog camera. Yeah, interesting. And that's probably why on the SD card looks very open, because that looks a lot more open than we're used to seeing on these cameras, doesn't it? If you look at it, you can see along. So, but it is looking like the full module is going to be over £500, maybe $480 or $480 to $550 . They're usually roughly one-for-one exchange, depending, but it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap. Now, I am ordering one on day one. I'm going to do it because I need another camera. I don't need another camera, but I am going to order it on day one. I've been holding back getting a GoPro, and I think I'm going to go for this. I do have some concerns over the longevity, and I will be buying Key Refresh. That's for sure. I will absolutely be buying Key Refresh for it. I think, what we don't know is how well it's going to perform. And there is some interesting new features in this. Let me just bring it up. They've brought something over that we've just seen announced on the Ronin. And they call it Horizon. I think it's Horizon Steady. Let me just find it. It's in the spec list. So here we go. Let me just put this back up. There's something on it. Where is it? Electronic image stabilization, Rocksteady 2.0, which is a new version, and Horizon Steady, which is something new. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Horizon Steady is as well, because we've not seen that before. They have gone for a bigger sensor. It is much larger, not much larger, but it is certainly larger sensor than than GoPro have on the Hero 10. It is a 1/17 of an inch. It is bigger. So there's not a lot of complaints there. What we don't know is, has DJI considered this for FPV at all, or is it simply designed for vlogging and action sports? And don't get me wrong, FPV is action, but there are some things we would really like the gyro data in the recording and that stuff. If we could have that, it would be really interesting. I'm guessing the base will come in around $400, says Lon. Apparently because of VAT, our prices tend to be a bit better. Yeah, what we tend to find, though, with DJI is they're normally 1-for-1. Usually, they're literally for the most part, 1-for-1. UK to US. Maybe $20, $30 difference, but not usually too much. So it may come in around 400. The thing that GoPro play the game of, see, remember with the GoPro, they give you the cover for the first 12 months, and then you got to pay for it after that. Buy it with your credit card. If you crash inside Section 25 period, claim from the company and save your refresh claims for later. It's an interesting point, that. Very interesting point, BB. I think it is looking really interesting. I think the product will be good. The question will be, have they looked at FPV with this or not? Everyone's really excited about this, and they're really excited because of this. Just look at this. This is what's getting everyone excited in FPV. This is, and look. Look at the size of that. That's getting everyone really excited. I think this front glass should be fairly well protected. It's got DJI Rocksteady 2, and it has what DJI are calling Horizon Steady, but we don't know what that is. But it's going to be interesting to see, have they taken into account the FPV market? That's because, this they may not have even had us on the radar, and it might not be ideal for us. Or this could be literally almost the perfect camera. I do wish they'd make a plastic version. That would be fantastic. I think a plastic version. My only concern with the aluminium is, what it's. I've repaired iPads and iPhones that have been dropped, and when you've had a drop on a corner and the aluminium bends in and cracks the screen, you're having to try and manipulate that back out. And that's my concern with this aluminium housing, is it's very Apple, let's just say, and you're going to have those kinds of issues. You damage the plastic on the corner of a GoPro, it's not really a massive issue, but when you start having it bending and you can't bend it back, that's the worry for me. I would have preferred it being made of plastic, but they've gone with this aluminium, so be it. And we will see how it goes. We will literally see how it goes. So I think it's very interesting. I am going to order one. I'm going to order one on day one to see what it's like. They're not going to send me one, so I will be ordering it on day one. And I'm really interested to see how it performs. And I think you're going to have a lot of interest in this, regardless of the price. We really are. So that was the first thing on that one. Now, cool. Just a hello 80 of you. I'm just checking back on the numbers. My God, we have 80 people here tonight. Good evening, everyone. How are you? What's your thoughts on it? I think it's one of the most interesting things I've seen. Heat transfer, probably, Lon. Yeah. I think that is a reality. The action, the Osmo Action from DJI was the first product that went back to using the umbrella SoCs. Okay, so for those who don't know, DJI stopped using umbrella for quite a long time and moved over to some units from a company all Linux-based. So they used the A9 on the Mavic 1, and then they moved to a different SoC on the Mavic 2 and other things like that. However, the Action was the first product DJI had released for quite a long time that used the umbrella H1 or the H2. I can't remember which one it was. But the umbrella chipsets do run hot. There's no question around that. And that's why the Osmo Action has that little heat section at the front. And the chances are, yeah, it's about heat dissipation. You know, because look, this is very compact. This is very, very compact. I bet my shit, I'd rather have it than over plastic any day. Perhaps, Peppermint, it might be an idea to start getting some designs together for replacement cases. And yeah, you know, there is always a compromise. There is always a compromise on a design. I'm not slating DJI for using aluminium. I'm just saying, I think from an FPV point of view, we'd have preferred plastic. But we can wrap it in TPU. We can do some special covers. I think this camera is one of the reasons we haven't been getting 120 frame sensors for FPV. No, look, DJI have a lot of different bits to them, all doing different things at the same time. This is a pet project compared to the other things they've done. You know, okay, just to take into account, where is it? You know, we've just had the release of the Ronin the RS4, the Ronin 4D. Now, I can talk about this finally, and I will talk about it a bit in a minute. I knew about this 4 years ago. I actually had a small amount of input into some very early design, as did a number of people. I wasn't alone. I was part of a very early beta group of people who were asked to give some feedback on the idea. This product has been in the making, as Paul has said, for 5 years. As I've said to you at the start of the live stream, I had the privilege of actually helping them run the Facebook groups, and I like Paul a lot. He's an amazing guy. For those who don't know, that's Paul Pan. And I've known about this forever. You know, I didn't ever think this would be launched, but it has. So, you know, they're capable of that stuff. That little camera, it's not a major. 4K 120 117 sensor. Now, I did see a question just now, and I just want to scroll back and find it, and I'll go back through the chat. So let's have a look. I'm sitting mounted on the XFPB drone. Yeah, it's got to be better than the camera it come with. That's for sure, Don. Someone asked a question about V2 goggles. Let me just find it. A lot of people will miss the session 5. Yeah, maybe GoPro. I still don't get why GoPro dumped those cameras. On the fence, Craig says, don't blame you. How can a camera that size from not be designed for FPV, Rob? I think it's designed for wearing around your neck. That's where I think they've gone with it. If you look at it, it comes with like a magnetic neck strap to go around you. That's what this is about. DJI Cam Motor Anonymous Ninja would be nice. At all. Where is... Someone asked a question about FPV. Hi there, question. Found it. Where is it? Nagamoto. To update the firmware for the V2 goggles under DJI drone mode, do I just need to set the goggles to drone mode and connect to the usual Assistant app? Yeah, so under drone mode, you can either connect it to Assistant 2 for FPV, or you can do it via the Fly app. You can do it via both in FPV drone mode. That will give you the latest firmware, which is version 2. So either Assistant 2 for FPV or a Fly app. If you're in FPV unit mode, you can only update it via Assistant 2, and that will only update the FPV unit side of the firmware, not the drone side. The best option is updating on drone mode side because that has both sides, basically. They're trying to do everything, which worries me. You know, DJI have been very quiet, so they've had a lot of time to come up with these products. And look, I followed DJI for a very long time. They are really, really good at developing amazing tech. However, I will stand by the term that is often functionality isn't there that you expect, and often things are coming soon and buggy as hell. Now, I wouldn't expect this little camera to be like that. However, with a pro product like the Ronin 4D, that is a very different kettle of fish. And I will talk about that at the end. You know, DJI make some of the most innovative, interesting, and forward-looking products there is. However, they have a long history of over-promising and not always delivering. And that coming soon has bitten them on the ass so many times. So many times. You know, the Inspire 2 users are still waiting for this is what the Inspire 2 users wanted to connect the X5 and the X7 to, yet it never materialized. So these products, you know, from a small camera point of view, and this is still my question marks over the Mavic 3. Look, it's going to be great, but as always, and I will always say this, don't look at what's in the spec, look at what isn't, and then don't make an assumption of it's there. Wait for people to check first. And that's the key. And you are starting to see that with even the Ronin 4D. I've already picked up on a few areas where up front the spec looks really great, but when you dig into the detail, there are some limits, and I will talk about this more at the end. But for instance, you can only get full access to the frame rates via the DJI SSD. You can plug in an external SSD, but you get limited frame rates and not full functionality. So again, there is always a gotcha somewhere. Always is. True. I had the Osmo Raw. I've loved the X7. Oh, yeah. There are a lot of people who've wanted a handheld unit for the Ronin, like the Ronin 4D. You know, as I said, I've known about this for a very, very long time. I can't remember the names. And there's a few people have posted on RC groups saying exactly the same. Ian Creswell, if anyone knows him, he's a great film guy. He does a lot of great footage. He was involved. There was about 6 or 7 of us. And the idea was we were going to get involved. We were going to beta test it and be involved in the production. And it just got slowed down and disappeared. And I went on to do some other stuff and the Facebook groups, and then I finished and walked away. But I've got images on my phone of this from 5 years ago. And here's the real interesting thing I will say, right, on this. Actually, let's get a proper image of it a minute. Why am I doing a part image? The images that I've got, right, from 4.5 years ago, this really is very similar. 4 or 5 years ago, they were really, this design was there then. You know, it's changed, but not dramatically. It looks shorter. They were going to, I think, if I remember, they were going to build all of this in, which is the Wi-Fi functionality in the battery unit. But what they seem to have done is made it modularized now. But I'll be honest, it's really, really similar. Really similar. I was quite impressed when I saw it. I was like, wow, they've taken a long time to get that right. They really have. But we'll talk about that at the end. We're not here for that one. Okay, so guys, as always, if you've got any questions, please do put them into the chat. If you're new here, welcome to the live stream. Good evening, Bruce. I hope you are safe and well. You haven't said happy birthday to me yet, Bruce. In fact, you haven't made me a video singing me happy birthday. I'm disappointed in you. I was expecting a song from you. Anyway, so if you've got any questions, guys, the next thing we'll touch on quickly is HD0. So we have the new firmware has released for HD0, which now supports the HD0 camera. Now, I do have this camera already. I have the beta version, which is... Where is it? Which is here. However, I have ordered a production version. I'm not quite on screen, am I? Oh, no, let me... That's better. I've ordered a production version of this camera because if I'm going to review it, I want to review it with the one you can buy and not just the one I was sent as a pre-release. There was a condition on getting the pre-release anyway, and I have talked about it a bit. However, the firmware has now been released, which says, where is my mouse? Added support for the HD0 micro camera and added f2.4 channels on our 1-to-8 channels as well. So that is out. They've also updated their versioning slightly, and you can see that it's the version 0, 21st of October. So it's available to update now. I haven't done my units yet. I need to do them. It's a job tomorrow. I think the HD0 camera that I've ordered might be here tomorrow. But this firmware is available from the HD0 website. You can go and download it. So that's really, more than anything, adding support for this camera. Now, I have been flying this a bit this week. I flew it a bit more with my goggles, which are now repaired, and I do have a video coming up on that, and I am going to share with everyone the problem I had with my goggles. It isn't me slagging the system off. It is more saying, look, this is the problem I had, this is what I've done to fix it, and just making people aware. That's due to go live in the near future as well. And then when that camera comes in, I'll be doing a review of that camera, and I'm making a decision on whether to do it now or wait for the 1 watt transmitter to come, because there is a 1 watt transmitter coming, and whether to review the system from scratch, because it has fundamentally changed. And my review of it wasn't terrible. I didn't say it was bad, but I do think this camera and this VTX, the 1 watt, does warrant a look again from scratch, not just oh, this is what's changed, this is what's updated. Almost, this is HD0 today, this is what's available, this is what it performs like. I'm interested to see how much the extra power helps, especially on the performance behind stuff. It would be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to that. But I don't know whether to do it before the 1 watt transmitter comes or when the 1 watt transmitter comes. And there's also another race board coming, which is a better fit than this thing. That's the TX5R, which doesn't fit in many frames. It will go in, but it doesn't go in many. But that's the news on HD0. Community is building. More and more people are getting involved. There has been some talk on numbers around HD0 as well, you know, how many people are using it and stuff. And I'm seeing some nonsense posted from, 100,000, stuff, 10,000, 5,000, 1,000. We don't know. The reality is we have no idea. It'd be interesting if they could tell us how many downloads they've had from their website. That could tell us an idea. But they must have an idea of how many units are out there. I think I saw someone mention they think like 1% of FPV users, and I think we don't even know how many FPV users there are out there, let alone anything else. So that's the news. HD0 available as update. You can go and get it from the website hd0.com. That's the reality on that one. So that's available out there. David, I mean, DJI suck. They still have not fixed their unit slow card bug. I don't think they care. The problem with that bug is I think it's less than of a bug and more of a limitation of the system. The thing to understand with DJI, the slow SD only happens when you're recording on the main air unit at the same time. I personally don't think it's a bug. I think it's a limitation of the air unit not simply being able to push the data to the SD card and out to the live stream at the same time. I don't really get it. It very, very rarely happens for me. I just don't get it at all. On even the ones I record on, it's very, very rare. Very rare. I found a machines. I found $80. Got messaging motors. I run 4S lipo props. What do you recommend? I understand that with 6S heavy props, but it just kills lipos. So I found a machines LA5 for £80. It's got massive 2507s, 18 kVs. Yeah, it's 6S. You're into 6S territory there. 6S, 1800 kV. It's about the only way forward. No, Bruce, I've hardly have it. I have one E-unit that seems to do it now and again, but other than that, most of the others just don't do it. Try 60 minutes. I only use SanDisk Extreme SD cards. Let me just find one. These. I use these exclusively on everything I own. See, that card there? It's in a police... It's a card from a police thing. Sorry, out of focus. There you go. That's the card I use. SanDisk Extreme. I use that on everything. 32 gigs. That's the one. Every machine I have, I use that card on. I don't own any other micro SD cards. I do everything on that. Yes, canvas mode. So I put a video out on that in the week. For those who haven't seen, the purpose of that video was to just try to push it more. Make sure, let me just get this in the right place because I just want to make sure I can see that. There we go. Push it more for the community. Push it out there so everyone is not forgetting. The idea was to make sure everyone understood what the issues was, what happened, why and how it happened, and what we've got coming. Now, something interesting has happened since this, and I haven't put this in the doc for today, and I forgot, but I'm going to go and find it now while we're talking about it. And this is from Runcam. And this is a new module that appears to be coming called sort of the Split. So let me just find this. And this has caused a bit of a stir. Now, I don't know anything about this officially. They've not told me about it. Runcam have put this up on their website, on Facebook, I should say, showing a new camera with another module with a Vista above it, or a unit light, as I should say. Now, this is interesting because if we read what they say, Runcam Split HD coming soon. They don't say what. They don't say what it is going to do, what it isn't, and what it's for. But there is some interesting things from the image. The most interesting thing from the image, first of all, is that the cable is going nowhere. Or is it going nowhere? Is it going into the back? If you look here, and let me try and make this bigger for you guys. Okay, so let me just get in. Oh, there. There is a MIPI connection there that looks identical to the MIPI connection on the air unit. Now, I think this is going to be a pass-through unit. So the camera goes into the module and the module goes into the Vista. That means it's going to allow them to potentially DVR. So a DVR for the Vista. Could it also overlay OSD onto the image? Now, there is nothing to suggest they are going to do that. Will it add latency? And how will that OSD look over the video compression? We don't know. But it could potentially create canvas mode. So this is very interesting. And look here. There's two little things here. Now, that could just be power. However, this is very, very interesting. Now, you can see from this image, this isn't made from DJI. They've made it look the same, but look, they've got plastic nuts here. And this is a rendering anyway. It doesn't technically exist right yet. But it's a rendering. But this is super interesting. Super, super interesting. This could also mean a couple of things. It could be that the DJI Air unit is on its way out, and they're looking for solutions to replace that with their own, or this is a workaround to, say, canvas mode. Now, I'm not sure how OSD would look going through the compression. Bruce, I'm interested in your thoughts on that. In theory, it should be fine. It might not look super tidy, but it might be okay. But it could be a way of really getting proper OSD on. The question will be, OSD will get fuzzy. There's a lot of detail in the image. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it isn't ideal, but then again, I'm just wondering, is it a solution for additional data on top of your basic data? Because there's nothing to stop you keep running your basic data as well. So you could have your basic data OSD and the additional data as well, which is interesting. But yeah, this is super interesting. I know nothing about it. They haven't said anything, so I'm looking forward to seeing this. Who wants an OSD obliterating their lovely OHD anyway? Yeah, you know, to be honest, there's only a few little things I'd like to add, and I don't think I'd be that upset if they weren't particularly perfect. Do you know what I mean? If some of the stuff, it's going to think. Now, I'm guessing there'd be a loop through cable from here to here. But we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see what this is all about. Is it DVR? Is it OSD? Is it just something else? We don't know. We're going to have to see. But very interesting, and it's showing there's innovation coming on the DJI system still, from Runcam at least. You know, so yeah, more to come on this one. More to come on this one. As I said, super interesting. So we're gonna have to see more weight, more power, more complexity, but really more fun. I suppose it's gonna be what you're looking for. Canadian Drone Hub. Good evening. Hope you're safe and well. OSD Corsair range together with ordnance left. It's just the little bits, isn't it? It's just the little bit extras. Funny Runcam throwing this bone instead of Cadex. Yeah, and, you know, it does sort of show that Runcam are doing something. They are thinking. They're doing something. You know, whatever you say, Runcam are doing something. We need a separate link for the telemetry with an overlay at the goggles end. Yeah, that would be the ideal. Look, the interesting thing on these things is this. We don't know what DJI's thoughts are on the FPV system. I've come to the conclusion that they've basically offloaded it and their only interest is OEM in it now. They have no interest in promoting, pushing, developing themselves. They might be happy to OEM this for the next 3, 4, 5 years. The only concern then comes with is what happens when they decide to end the V2 goggles. But we'll get to that when we get to it. But this is uncharted territory for us because there is no period I can ever remember DJI working with partners like this. It just doesn't happen. This is all uncharted territory. All uncharted territory. They've never done it like this before. So we don't know. But, you know, they're not talking. I put the video up in the week for those who saw it, which was about canvas mode, which was, look, I will be blatantly honest. That video was to just try and push things along a little bit. To try and reignite some of the noise. For you guys, for me, for all of us. That was the idea of it. It hasn't kicked off as much as the other video. I could do with a few more people watching it. Share it for me, because the more people that watch it, the more it might get listened to. I haven't spoke to anyone. No one's reached out to me. I'm not expecting them to now, because I think if they had or were going to, they would have by now. So I'm not expecting to hear anything. But what can we do? We can't do any more than we've done on this. You know, I've tried to push it. they're not going to get away with making that statement and it getting buried in the ether. That's for sure. So, yeah. Interesting indeed. So, for those who haven't seen it, there it is. Let me just get that off the screen a minute so you can... I'm losing my mouse. Where's my mouse? Just take that off a minute. As you can see, it's on the Runcam website. Very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. And you're going to see a lot of people interested if it does happen. A lot of people interested. So, that's the DJI news and that's the HD0 news. Did I just see we had over 100 people watching? We have 89 on my side, but we've already had over 100. Hello, old people. Please do give us a like if you're new here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat as well. I will more than happy answer anything I can. As always, super chats are always welcome. Have a Discord server. Carry on with the shilling. I'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, guys. I send a dozen of them away. And it's funny, actually, on the DJI, before I move on, I've suddenly gone in a position of having no ear units to loads of ear units. I'm almost tripping over ear units right now. I am tempted to order another 2 of the DJI cameras. For those who saw, I put the video out in the week. I'll ask you guys a question. Okay, so... do you want me to strip that camera down more? I got someone who had a bit of a go at me on the comments, and I have sort of took it a little bit to heart, which was the video was done as clickbait. Oh no, the video was made 10 minutes long on purpose. Why couldn't I just said at the start? Well, I couldn't have said at the start because if you've watched the DJI video, I hadn't even opened the camera at the start of the video. So I can't exactly... start it with saying this is the same when I didn't know. I could have just done the video of I've opened this up, this is this, that, but it was more of a journey to see. And that was the way the video was done intentionally. So I'm not going to apologize for it. I made the video that way. But he also said, well, I was hoping you'd have taken the camera fully apart to show everything. I don't feel it was necessary. That backboard is identical. There might be the odd component change further down. Nothing that matters. Nothing that matters. Nothing I can see. I checked the image multiple times inside. There's no difference. As far as I can see, there's no difference. Yes, I made a mistake in the video because I forgot that the camera settings are on the camera, not the ear unit. So I did the one camera in 4:3 and the other one in 16:9. A complete mistake. And I did it, I was editing it, and I was like, oh, right. Do I go and film this again? Because I'd put it all away. I'd put the back on the camera. I'd done it, this and all that. And I was like, do I do it again? And I just sat here and went, it's the same. Everything I've seen is the same. The aspect ratio might not be on the footage, but it doesn't matter. I checked it beforehand in both 4:3 and 16:9. It was a classic example of going to film and making the mistake, not all of the checks beforehand. Now, I can strip that camera down further. If people want it, I will do it for you. I'm happy to, but I'm intrigued as if people do want it because I don't feel the need. It's the same. End of. That's where my brain was at, you know, and that's why. It's identical. It is literally identical. I've had it out today as well. There's no change. It's the same. It's the same camera. It's made by DJI or their partner. So you can't please everyone. Don't let it skeptical about the system's future. Yes and no. DMI, you know, look, I know DJI as long as anyone, and yes, they will dump it at some point. It's inevitable. But I've said that from day one. I have said that, as my daughter say, haters will hate. It's only identical because it's exactly the same. Yeah. I think the fundamental question was, Cadex said we've brought it back, and you can interpret that as we've made it or we're supplying it. I think DJI have just put a production run in and given it to all the OEMs because it's at dealers and everything now as well. I was told that Cadex were manufacturing it now. That was an unofficial message from someone who was involved. I won't say it was Cadex, but I'm just saying they said they were manufacturing it. Doesn't appear to be the case. I have nothing against Cadex. However, all I will say on that is my experience with the FPV companies varies. Everything that's been said to me by Runcam has always happened and always been correct. And everything that's been said to me by Cadex hasn't. So that's all I'm going to say. So yeah, that's the situation with DJI, really. Yes, they did. M2K. It's because Cadex equals DJI. Well, there is that. All that matters is the chair. Okay. So, the next thing to talk about. Let's get this up. It's ExpressLRS time, guys. So, I'm in the process of making quite a bit of content on ExpressLRS. I've been trialing it, testing it, doing more and more. I've got the extra receivers here now. There's a video on the Flywoo going up in the next couple of days. Just go back to that one. It's there for you guys because you're amazing and you're special and you're on the live stream. I'll talk about that a little bit now. Here it is. Flywoo, I can tell you, is much better quality than the Beta FPV, not Beta FPV, than the Happymodel one that I was sent. I have stripped this down. Let me just find a bit of footage for you guys. Where is it? XRS, Flywoo. It's been under the microscope. So let me put this up. Let me put it up. So this is the Flywoo. Again, an OEM board based, basically the same as the Beta FPV. Again, similar ESP32 design with the same SX1280 chipset. We've got the UFL, we've got the clock this side, all the components on this side, straight, narrow, all looking guys. This is just me getting it set up. Oh, let me mute it. I don't want to hear my own voice. Get rid of that. Everything looks good. No issues at all. All the soldering on the QFN style was this side was good. All components straight. No problem at all on that side. And as you can see, zooming in, everything just looked as it should on this side of the board. Flipped over to the other side, and what we have then is literally one component looking a little bit off, but that's it. All of the soldering is correct. So we've got the ESP8285, which is the main chipset. We've got our LED, we've got a Wi-Fi antenna, our clock, our 3.3 volt regulator. That isn't a bind button. It is a button, but it's not for binding. But again, the overall quality of this was much better than the EP1 that I had, and zero issues with it at all. There is a full video on this one coming in the near future, but again, absolutely no issues. Again, all the solder poles, all the solder balls on the QFN, absolutely perfect. Literally not a problem in any shape or form. So the video on that one is coming in the near future. The receiver, which I've got here, it is one of the very micro ones again. And 0.4 grams. And yeah, absolutely perfect. Does everything I expect it to do. Haven't flown it yet. That's the next job. But if you're looking for one of the very small ones, this is well worth a look. And that's from Flywoo. And I do know I was talking I was talking to someone, and I know Flywoo don't really put a lot of feedback into it, but they've done GMI, yes, we'll talk about the backpack in a minute as well. They've not really fed into the community, but it's a good receiver. Then the next one is going to be the Namimno. I think I've said that right. I've got the Namimno receiver here as well. And I haven't, sorry, I hit the microphone. I haven't reviewed this yet, but that is here. Just to show you, this is a larger receiver, more of the size of Crossfire or Tracer. But again, the quality on this one looks decent. Where is it? Sorry, let me put it there. Let me put it there. So just to give you an idea on the size difference, guys, there is a substantial difference. I could do with a longer lens on this camera today to show you. But again, this one has a built-in Wi-Fi antenna, but that's a ceramic Wi-Fi antenna, single UFL. So yeah, another good one, and I'll be reviewing that one on the channel in the next couple of weeks too. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform, and really what I'm looking at in the early days is the quality of the hardware, the quality of the setup. You know, the Wi-Fi worked, everything worked on the Flywoo. I've upgraded it via Wi-Fi. It's just worked. It really has just worked. I've done a lot of learning about ExpressLRS in the last 2 weeks, a huge amount, to be honest. There's also going to be a video coming from me, and I'll show you guys the thumbnail, actually, because the limits of visual line of sight. Absolutely, Bruce. Now, I do have a video coming, which this is the first. I'm going to share with you the thumbnail on this one because I quite like it, and you know, this is going to be the first video, which is what is ExpressLRS, and I am doing a bit of an overview of the system from a standpoint of what people may not know and what the differences are and why you should consider this compared to others. I'm just having the video checked over by a few people. I'm trying to make sure, because I've learned this very quickly, I want to make sure I've got everything correct on this. Yes, that's a hell of a thumbnail. And I'm trying to he's had one or two many. It's how's that? That's funnier than Chris Ross's thumbnail. Yeah, that's it's a backpack. Tired Old Eyes. Yeah, so we're going to have a few videos on ExpressLRS coming. But I've been doing a lot of learning on the hardware and everything, and I'm hoping to maybe have another EP1 this week to have a look at that again, because it does seem that my experience isn't reflective of everyone's. However, not everyone has put theirs under a microscope. You know, it is very possible all of their receivers are built really badly, but they just work. And I'm interested to see how that actually comes out. I am wondering how that's going to behave. We're going to have to see. But we'll hopefully get another one in and see what the quality of it is like, because we need to see it. Now, the news on ExpressLRS this week is that version 1.2 is released, which has got a couple of fixes. And interestingly, it has some fixes for the EP receivers, because alongside the problems I was having, there is also an issue with some EP1s, EP2s, where the regulator has been under-spec'd. The chipset on the receivers, so if we go down and look at Happymodel, that's 900. Let's go to the EP1s, EP1, EP2. If we just click on this, it's just taking us to Happymodel's website. Yes. So on here, you've got a regulator, which is this chipset here, which supplies power for the ESP8285, I think it is off the top of my head. This uses about 300 milliamp of power on power up, and part of the reason for that is there is a sort of power-up routine which pings the Wi-Fi and does some other stuff as well. And they're meant to have 300 milliamp of power. However, there's regulators which are only up to 150 milliamp, and they're crapping out on power-up, and the receiver won't work. So they've released firmware to change the startup behavior on those receivers. Now, the issue isn't the firmware. The reality is, right, the issue here is the receiver has a bad regulator, and they should all be sent back to Happymodel for replacement. However, this is the brilliant thing with ExpressLRS. They haven't just sat there and said, it's not our problem. They've put a fix in software as well to allow people to continue to use them. And that's what it does. So it basically changes the startup routine to use less power and hopefully stop the regulator crapping out as it powers up. They've then fixed another issue on the dropping down, fixed intermittent reboot, and telemetry was sending more than it should have, and a couple of other bug fixes. But it is good that they are heavily developing this, and this has moved forward as well. Now, something that was just mentioned was about ExpressLRS Backpack, and did I know anything about that? Now, let's just find Backpack, and ExpressLRS Backpack has just had an update as well. Where's the releases button? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? If you don't know what Backpack is, it has an additional ESP8285 chip that allows it to communicate with another receiver. So the TX module, let me just come up. So the TX module, where's mine? Let me just find it. Here it is. This has one chipset on board for the communication. Some have an additional one, which has Wi-Fi functionality. And the idea of the Backpack is that that second chip can be used to communicate with other devices via Wi-Fi, via a special protocol, to configure them. So, for instance, you could set your channel for your VTX via this, and that will communicate that to your goggles and your drone for you on the ground. Not via the normal telemetry, but via the Backpack. So you can say, go to channel 9, and your goggles would switch to channel 9, and everything would communicate and do it. So think of it as a short-range link to communicate between the different parts of the systems. And you can even use an existing receiver as a receiver for the Backpack system. So you can actually mount an EP1 on a set of Fat Shark goggles and use that for communicating with that. And it's just some really, really cool functionality. And it is something that looks like is building up, and we're going to see more and more of it. And really, it's about making the whole systems communicate together. Now, it is very DIY right now because you've got to put a receiver on your goggles and a receiver on your there and that. But there is a lot of interesting functionality that can be done around this. And look, if ExpressLRS does take off, there's no reason Fat Shark can't start integrating Backpack into their goggles from the factory with analog. So the functionality is there. Or modules have Backpack built in the scratch. So it's not going to be for everyone, but there is some really, really interesting functionality. Now, not all of the transmitters have Backpack built in. They've got to have that extra ESP8285. But it's really interesting. And the new firmware for that come out today. Where's the releases for it? There's a release page. Is it under code? Where is it? I'm trying to find the actual releases page for it. 2 seconds. Just trying to find where they hide where's the releases? I can never find the bit to get to the releases. Where the release notes are. I always struggle with that on GitHub. Right. Backpack. Code. Where's the hiding over there on the side. So release 0.1.0 TX backpacks on all Happy modules. TX backpacks found on all Happy modules except the ES925 and DIY builds. Rapid fire control to that. Tracer control. So yeah, it's out there. It's coming. It's available. Really interesting. ExpressLRS is really growing on me. I will be honest. I have briefly flown the system, very briefly, and I'm talking hover around the garden, back down, testing everything's working on this receiver here before, just to make sure everything was doing what I expected it to do. I haven't done any long range testing. I haven't done any of that. And look, there are much better people out there doing some of that stuff. Wes is absolutely smashing it, as are others. But it is really, really interesting on how it's developing and just how they are being community driven. And the something that's really, for me, caught my eye is this EP issue on these Happymodel units, that rather than just sitting there and saying, well, that's a hardware issue, you need to go and speak to your vendor, they have put a workaround in place for bad hardware design. And that is always a good thing, that the community is willing to do things like that. So if you're not involved in ExpressLRS, consider getting so. I haven't switched everything over to it yet. You know, I'm not even committing to that at this point. Just jumping over to the website. Let me just grab my cup of tea. I haven't moved everything over, but it is really interesting. And if you're interested in getting involved, all of the information you need is there. My plan is to do some videos on this, on how-tos. I'm going to be doing some how-tos of my own. There are loads out there, but I'm going to still do them. I've got a release schedule I want to do. I'm going to do what is it from my point of view, and I'm having that video checked. And then going to be doing a few others from there as well. So it's really interesting. It is really interesting. I still think there's a place for others. And what is really interesting was I was shown something. Let me... Interesting. Pavel's just made a video about canvas mode. Does he know something I don't? The more people that push it, the better. Let me just find something. YouTube search statistics. Two seconds. Okay. So, let me get rid of this. If we go in the past 90 days, worldwide, categories, YouTube search. I'm trying to get the chart to show. Why isn't the chart showing properly? Actually, let's go 12 months. Search term, why is that not showing? Interest over time. What I'm trying to do is just trend the searches. But for some reason, ExpressLRS isn't working. Web search. YouTube search. Let me change it to ELRS. No, why is that? I did this earlier and it was much better. That's weird. It's not working now. Let me just find why. Let me just go on something. Last 12 months categories. That's weird. Why is it? Why? Ah, you wait there. I know. Okay, so this is interesting. Here we go, guys. Good evening, FPV. How are you? So this is really interesting because if you look at this, this is the search terms over the last 12 months. And on YouTube of what's been searched. So for instance, we've got ExpressLRS, TBS Crossfire, TBS Tracer. And if we search for... is it host? Have I spelt that right? I don't know if I have. Mission RC. It's been a long time since I've even typed this company. RC. It's been such a long time since I've even typed that. RC Ghost. There we go. So you've got no. Is it one word? Yes, I think we've got it there. So if you look on the search terms, we have failsafe. I spoke about that earlier. If you just look on the search terms for these systems, okay, so you know, Crossfire, this is the last 12 months on YouTube and the amount of search. But what's really interesting is you can see ExpressLRS has gone down from nothing to up, and it's very much up there. Yellow is Tracer, you know, which is, you know, it's had some search, but ExpressLRS has been much more. But if you look at the others, just look at Mission RC Ghost. You know, we can add, if we add FR Sky on, is it R9? There you go. There's R9 a little bit. These other companies must be really concerned because ExpressLRS is going to destroy them. TBS is bumbling along absolutely fine. However, these others, they've got to be worried. They have to be worried about this. They really do, because this is bad news for them. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with TBS, Trappy, and where they end up going. I know what I'd like to see, and I don't think it will happen. I would like to see, I think, and this is my honest opinion, I think, and this is me putting what I would do, and if I was Trappy, I'd start making quality ExpressLRS hardware and keep running Crossfire and Tracer next to it and try to offer something different, but be part of the ecosystem. We know not always is their hardware been great, but let's be realistic. They have built a system that works very well. I'm not saying be competitive on price. I'm not saying make it as cheap as the Happymodel, but I think they should consider allowing either installation of it or allowing it to help sell hardware. Because ExpressLRS is one of those things that's growing that could end many of these businesses. You've seen it before. And look, closed source flight controllers didn't go away. KISS still exists. You know, Betaflight, but KISS still exists. But it's about how do you then provide a solution in a market, and part of that is the radio, for instance, the Mambos with the stuff built in. But I do think they should highly consider getting involved. And that's what I would do in some way. And be a hero to the community rather than be the enemy. And that's my thought on it. But they will do what they need to do. Trappy's a very clever man. you know, he's definitely a clever man because he wouldn't have built the business he has if he wasn't. So let's not forget that. However, this kind of thing is a paradigm shift. This is give us the Tango board with the Express. The game now is who can make the best hardware and convince customers to buying it, because the software is going to move on really quickly. Good evening, Steve. Good evening, Mark. Hope you are well. Good evening, Manix. Paya, how are you? Good evening. Hello from Germany. Hello from the UK. Careful, that TX16 rocked a few times. Yeah, I can't afford to drop it. It'll break. I would love to see TBX ExpressLRS receiver, maybe a tracer receiver that could be flashed. Yeah, maybe. I can see someone working on that. I can see it. Sorry, TBS is more... Yeah, I don't think it's about competing. I think it becomes a game then of what are you competing on? And why not be... You know, TBS are sort of... They've grown with the FPV community. Crossfire, yeah. Give people the option. Don't go down the FR Sky route. That's what I hope doesn't happen. Even if someone works out how to flash the hardware. Look, we've seen what FR Sky did. Look how the community feels about FR Sky now, with all of the hassle around that. Look at how people feel about FR Sky. I know Bruce has his feelings on it, and I think there is an opportunity here that this is gaining lots of traction. Just look at the searches. Just look at the search terms. You know, it's not up there with Crossfire, but it's higher than Tracer. ExpressLRS is gaining traction very, very quickly. And, you know, how long before it's up here? You know, how long before it's really getting there? And look, you know, and they don't want to become the next FR Sky, but they make great products. Sick of it, yeah, and it's, you know, so it'll be interesting to see. No, old R9s can be flashed, can't they? I'm not sure on the. I'm not 100% on them. You'd have to check on the ExpressLRS. The R9M can. I'm not 100% sure. ExpressLRS. Let's just have a look. If we go on the website, let me just get it to... It doesn't want to work for me. Hardware. R9 supported hardware. So let's just get down. FR Sky R9M including light. So that's the units that are supported. R9M. So, yeah, interesting. So we're going to have to see. Now, someone just said something. Right. Yes, they did. So I was going to mention this, and that's why that's next to me. That is next to me for a reason. And Bruce is going to rip me apart on what I'm about to say. Have you guys seen JB's video on these LEDs on this radio? I'm going to put this up because I fell in love with this. Let me just find it. Joshua Bardwell. Yes, I'm an RGB nut because you can't. Have you seen these? Now, JB's got a video on it. Let's just get to the point where he shows them. He shows how to put them in. But just look at, where is it? LED gimbals. Now, these do look very, very nice. It's not the gimbals themselves, it's an LED mod. Now, JB did put something on Twitter. Let me just find him on Twitter. Well, JB did put a tweet up because I saw the picture. Here we go. And they're just there. And yeah, I need these in my life. I need these. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I need these in my life. Now, I don't use this radio that much. I'll be honest. It's too big for me. I'm really tempted, and I don't know, has anyone here tried it? I've been looking at, the next radio to look at is the Radio Master TX12 Pro. I don't know if anyone's tried the TX12 Pro. I'm intrigued. Let's just bring it up. Let's just do products TX12. I think there's a Pro version of the TX12. I've been looking at that just to see what it's like compared to the Mambo. I think there's a TF12 Pro, is there not, as well? Products TX12, TX8 Pro. I swear there was a Pro. Too small for your hands. I don't know. I haven't looked at the sizing yet compared to the Mambo. I was just intrigued. But I was just looking at that as sort of a Mambo comparison. Those gimbals that JB was talking about do look very nice. A lot of money, but they look nice. But the LEDs, guys, these LEDs, these, you know, I want that in my life. Now, let me just grab my Mambo a minute. Just got an idea. So, they do look cool. Okay? Let's not get away from that. You know, if you see the video, JB has the video. They're on there. They do look cool. Now, I'm thinking, can we do it for this? Can we make it for the Mambo? Now, I've been looking at this today. I haven't stripped it yet. Right, LXpressLRS more LEDs is what I'm hearing. I've been looking at my Mambo today, and let's get it under the overhead. Oh, the overhead's gone off. 1 second. Have I flattened it? I think I have. 1 second. I haven't got it on power tonight, so give me 1 second. Let me swap the battery. Okay, so let's go to that one. Let's go to that one. Oh, focus, focus. That's close enough. Okay, so the Mambo. I've been looking at this. And I've been looking at some pictures. Now, I'm thinking this bit here comes off, okay, around the sticks. So this area here, I've stripped this radio before, and this bit is part of the front shell, but it does come off. Now, I've been thinking, would it be possible to 3D print in clear filament a replacement for that unit that we can light up with LEDs? Now, I would need to get one off to have a look. Now, there is actually a clear cover for the Mambo. I don't know if you guys have seen this. There is a clear case for the Mambo. You can get from TBS. They do make a full clear Perspex transparent shell for it. Here we go, which is here. Now, you can see this here with the insert. So if we bring this up, and let's get in a bit, they do a full clear, case for it with these inserts that come out. Now, you could do that and just light it up with LEDs, which would be cool. You know, that would be cool in itself, wouldn't it? You know, however, what I was thinking is, could we 3D print these in clear filament and then light them. So around the sticks, you would have LEDs. You can just see the clear one. Pour petrol on and light it. So I don't know what your thoughts is. Is this something I should even waste some time on thinking about doing? Is the question. How much is that case? Because it might be easier for me to buy that case. That case is $19. That's all that is. Haven't seen a nice 3D print with clear filament. You still see the individual parameters. I'm just wondering how it will look on the... Because on the Prusa, I've got the rough bed, and it needs a really nice top finish. In fact, the top finish is like on the Mambo. It's almost identical. I want the case, though. Someone wants the clear case. Clear case is cool. I am tempted to go for the clear case. So let's think it through. Me standing in a field in a dark Scottish night with the DJ goggles in my hands and a big radio glowing RGB. I can't see any other way, though, of RGBing these. I can't see any other option. You know, you could try and come up with something around that housing there. TBS, if you could make that in clear, that would be awesome, please. Could we have that clear, please? Because we could just replace them and then light them up. You could just light the whole radio up, though, and do the clear radio and light the radio up. That would be pretty cool. But I can't decide if I should do it or not. I got a little bit of jealousy on JB's. Yeah, but you only would have one layer. You would then see through to the other layers. Yeah, I'm wondering how it would look. I quite happily have it for day flying. I just like RGB. So that's that one. Okay, so a couple of things more to talk about before we finish the live stream up tonight, guys. Okay, so I have been shared some pricing, which I'm not going to share on here because I don't want to, but a dealer has sent me some pricing, which they have posted publicly, and it is looking like this damn thing, the Mavic 3, is going to be very, very expensive. Not about 2,000. Well, the pricing I have, let me just find my phone. Where's my phone gone? The pricing I have in the, and this is UK now, not US, but it is always comparable. 2 seconds. Let me just find it on my phone. There we go. No, it's not there. It's on my phone somewhere. Where's he shared it with me? It's vanished. Ah, there we go. So we are looking at UK pricing of about £1,900 for the Mavic 3 standard combo, 2.5 for the Fly More, and 4,279 for the Cine. So it's going to be a very, very expensive product. Now, I've been told something which I don't know is true or not, which is around this new smart controller, with it. And I'm hearing they're calling it the smart controller or the controller Pro, and it is locked for use with the Mavic 3 and no other product. Now, I don't know how true it is, but that's what I'm hearing. Which will be very DJI, if I'm honest. And again, it then makes the ecosystem of more products that don't work with other ones. Now, Jasper on Twitter has been posting some more stuff. What I'm going to say up front is I won't be ordering one of these. Unless someone wants to donate £2,000 to the channel, I won't be ordering one of these. I simply cannot justify the basic model. I just simply can't. I am priced out of this now. That's a reality. Okay. Let me just find it. Is there any more? Yeah, it's in hand there, so you can see it there in hand. I will cover some coverage on it, just on my thoughts on the release when it happens, but I won't be. I just can't. I just cannot spend that much money. I'll never get it back. Now, I have been in talks to some amazing people, and I might be able to borrow one. We're going to have to see, but it's not going to be on day one, that's for sure. But pricing is looking heavy. Oh, here's the pricing for the Osmo Action as well. Says a lot that it's the first major I skip. It's a number of reasons. When I was in the mix, the arms do look thin, very thin. Yes, they do. When I was in the mix and doing that stuff a lot, I was sort of able to hop from one to the other. However, it's been a long time. Look, I could sell my Inspire 2 and my Mavic 2 and go and buy the Cine Pro, probably. Just be able to do it. But that product, it's just going to be really hard to make that happen and justify it. I would love to order a Mavic 2, even the standard version, to talk about, but it's £2,000, which is a huge amount of money. Now, I am talking to a dealer who is hopefully going to be able to lend me one, and I can give you guys my honest thoughts, and I will rip it apart where it needs it, because these are getting more and more expensive. I remember when the first I bought my first Phantom, which was $999, and then they went up to like $1,200, and then $1,300, and then $1,400, and now we're talking $1,800, $1,900, and that's difficult. The Inspire 2 was a big ask. No one will get their money back from buying one of these and reviewing it. No one will. No one will get their money back. To give you an idea, the CPM income will not... You won't even get back the losses from selling it used within a week. It's just impossible on YouTube. I commented on someone's videos earlier. There's a great guy named Alex Tech, and he talks a lot around Resolve and how to do video editing, and he posted up about his performance for last month, and he was making on his views, which are about 3 times what I get, and he was making like £200 a week. That's £800 a month. You can't, he's doing this full time. You can't live off that. Unless you crash it into a volcano and get 1 million views. Yeah, you might get it back on 1 million views. But for the people reviewing it, it's not going to happen now. It's just not going to happen. And the really interesting thing for me on this new DJI launch, and it's going to be on the Osmo as well, I will not get the money back on this Pocket. I'm buying it because I'm in the position to be able to do it for a few reasons on that particular product. £800 a month is my Starbucks bill. Exactly. This guy is, 80,000 subs, and he's doing like £200 a week, which is nothing. It's minuscule for the work he's putting in. It's depressing for the work he's putting in. It's depressing what I get for the work I'm putting in. However, I don't do it for the money. Now, I do have a war chest that I could buy the Mavic, but I'm out. I'm done. I can buy no more equipment for the next 6 months. That would be me done. End of. Anything came out that I felt I wanted to talk about, I'm done. I'm really lucky at the moment with the channel that it's built up a little bit of money that I use to spend on the channel, because every penny that this channel generates goes back in. Okay, I can promise you that. So from my point of view, I don't take any living money from the channel. It's not how it works for me. I simply put everything back in, and it allows me to buy more equipment. It's like this week I've ordered, I've had to order another SSD for storage. I've ordered a Wi-Fi adapter to be able to update the ExpressLRS stuff. I've ordered the ExpressLRS receivers. Everything that comes in goes back on that stuff. But if I did buy the Mavic, I'm wiped out, completely and utterly wiped out, and would be the case for the next 6 months. So it's not the right move for the being able to keep making the content I want to make. It's impossible. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I have a job outside of this world, entirely outside of FPV. I'm an engineer by trade. I don't do engineering so much now, but I'm management these days, an engineer. Steve Mann, but yeah, I'm outside of the drone trade completely. But I have a full-time job, a wife, 2 kids, and this, you know, and this helps pay for this. But it's going to be really interesting to see. And funny enough, right, I had a meeting. I spoke to Pavel the other day, and we were talking about that. And he's the same. He has a full-time job, you know, and it's the thing. And it's going to be really interesting to see, especially with this Osmo launch, how many people talk about it, because DJI have dumped the affiliate scheme, and they have a lot of the affiliate stuff's dead, and they are going to be in a position they've never been in before, and the Mavic is going to be the same unless they seed them. You are not going to get that many people buying a £2,000 product to talk about, because you just won't make the money back unless can you return them? Okay, so in the US, anyone US based, what's Best Buy's return policy? So if you were to buy it, review it, and take it back, could you at Best Buy? Because in the UK we've got Argos, but you can't return drones. So if you were to buy it and then return it, you just can't do that in the UK. I don't know what the policy is with Best Buy in the US. Are people able to do that? I don't, and that might help a lot of people. You could return it. They even accept broken props. My concern would be restocking fee, most likely, yeah. And the problem is, what's the restocking fee? Because even then, you're not going to get that back. I know there are some companies that will just accept products back. For the info, any difference between the V1s and the V2s if used units exclusively? 0. The antennas are different, but from a user point of view, 0 difference. Lorenzo, no difference to you at all. The only difference is the antennas are linear polarized, but the performance is very, very similar. I think you can buy them from TBS directly. Probably chip shortage. It has been hard to find receivers. I managed to find the odd one. I did find the odd one the other day. Thank you, that mate. Dealers may not be stocking TBS because they fear the effect of ExpressLRS. There does seem to be. I think the chip shortage is probably hurting quite bad. None TBS. There's been quite a shortage of TBS everywhere. It's even been a shortage in the UK as well. We haven't been able to find it. But there has been a chip shortage on that too. Again, it'll be down to the SoCs using. The great thing with ExpressLRS is that it is using ESP32s, which are readily available. It's not using an STM32. And STM32 is getting worse right now, guys. Not better, worse. Any flight controllers you want, anything, you're going to get problems. getting them right now. Chip shortages are hitting hard now, especially on the STM32. They are stockpiling silicon wafers for some reason. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I struggled in the UK, but last week I did find Crossfire. Where is it? What did I actually do with it? I bought a Tracer and a Crossfire. I was going to have a look at what Crossfire, because there are some new ones with slight variants out there as well. I think, Bruce, I am really tempted to start. This is a brand new Crossfire. This was delivered this week. I don't know if that's the new board or not. What's really interesting on this, right? Let me just hop over 2 seconds. Let's do that. No, we don't want to do that. Let's do that, and let's do that. We want to come out. Actually, no, we don't. We want to go in the tab. What is the chipset on this? 1272. Right, what's on? The chipset on this side here. What we got here? Let's have a look. So PIC 32. So we've got the PIC 32 on that side, and that's the RF transceiver. So that'll be the RF transceiver then. The build quality on these boards is absolutely fantastic. I have to say that. They really are good. I don't know if this is a new one or not, actually. I'll have to see. Oh, I forgot about that. I was talking over there and you couldn't hear me. I stuck it under to see what it was. I couldn't see if it was the V1s or V2s. I do apologise on that. I forgot to move the microphone. Do you want me to do it again? Forgot about that. We heard the most part. Yeah, but that's the one I've had in. But they don't mask the chipset on the Crossfire, but they do mask it on Tracer. I've put my Tracer in, so I can't show you, but Tracer has a masked chipset. Mike skills. I forgot about bringing it with me. V2s use rocket engines. Yeah, so we're going to have to see. Okay, so if there's any more questions, guys, the last thing I'm going to talk about is I'm just going to put that back up again quickly a second, which is that's the European pricing apparently on the Osmo. $549 for the dual screen combo. Oof, 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 oof. That's a lot of money. So this pricing, just so you understand it, so what you've got is the power combo should be the camera and the power module, which takes the SD card but doesn't have the front-facing screen. You've then got the Action 2 dual screen combo, which is instead of having the power module, you'll have the screen stroke power module. €549. Wow. Or you can buy the front module on its own for $199. And this is something I'm suspicious of, right? I am really suspicious on this. Why is the power module only $65, yet the screen module is $199? You are not telling me it's costing $135 for a screen and the hardware on that. There is more to this than meets the eye. If this pricing is correct, I have a horrible feeling, right? The basic power combo is gimped somehow compared to that. And I'm wondering if there isn't an SD card in the power module combo. But we'll have to see. We're going to have to see. But that pricing is very weird. That pricing is very weird. Okay, let me get the last thing up to talk about. Let's go to... So, I'm going to put my camera back up for this. Boom. There we go. I'm in the corner. So, this week, we had the launch. Where is it? Come on, DJI. Come on. There it is. The Ronin 4D. Now, as I've already said at the start of the live stream, guys, I've known about this for a very, 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 very long time. I won't show the images because technically I'm still under NDA for them, so I will be careful. Whether I can even say I was involved is another question, but I don't really care about that now. And don't get me wrong, I made some comments after being shown some stuff and fed back on some stuff as well and stuff like that. This is one of the more interesting products I've seen in a very long time. Now, obviously, 4 stabilized gimbal, 4-axis, new camera, X9, full frame, still taking the DL lens mount. The really interesting thing on this, though, right, is this LiDAR focus, which I'll talk about in a minute, and some quirks around the recording on this. Now, as I've already said, DJI have introduced this really interesting 4-axis stabilization, and it is the chicken head. I've seen some fantastic memes on this that DJI built the chicken head. And if you don't know what I mean, there was a guy moving a chicken around, and the head stays still, and that's what that basically is. And it offers that. It's got this LiDAR focusing, wireless video transmission. That's all clever stuff. We know about that. It's very modular. It has some really cool functionality in the sense of you can move the bits of it around. That's the base module. They have done some interesting stuff, right? If we scroll through, they've put camera sensors on the bottom of it as well. So you've got the modules you can put on the back. So you've got the wireless module, the communications module, and then the battery module. They're still using TB50s, which I find interesting. Really interesting. So that battery isn't going anywhere anytime soon. We've then got the LiDAR module and this, and we scroll through, and there's, look, there's lots and lots, all very happy. It's interesting. They've got built-in NDs in the camera, so it's got multiple NDs. Apparently, there's 2 versions. One can shoot 8K 75 frames a second, or it's got a 6K version, 14 stops of dynamic range, 4,000 ISO. All the usual nonsense, right? Some really interesting stuff. 9 stops of ND filter built in. Now, this is really quite ingenious when you look at it. It's basically added a shutter. And it's moving the ND filters around to stack them to get the best one. Takes the DJI DL lens. It will also take other lenses via removable lens mount. Interchangeable mount. Very interesting. Really interesting indeed that they're offering this. Wireless control, all of that stuff. Now, the bit I want to jump to is, there's the chicken head, for those who haven't seen it. It's got built-in sensors, and they've taken a lot of their drone sensors. So we've got a TOF sensor, we've got downward-facing obstacle avoidance. But as always with DJI, right, always look for what isn't said and not what is. Because, look, it is a really interesting product. However, when you start diving into the specs, right, and you start looking at the recording, right, so, for instance, it supports ProRes DJI 1TB media, Compact Flash Express 2.0, or a USB SSD. There are no restrictions on recording format with the DJI Pro SSD. However, there are restrictions on Compact Flash Express and USB-C. Quite heavy restrictions, in fact. So, as always, you're stuck into the proprietary DJI system because you have to have the SSD to get those high capabilities. In RAW, it can do 3.4 gigabytes a second rates. It's a hugely impressive bit of kit. But as always, it always has the limitations. Now, with this, DJI is entering a new market, and they're entering a pro market. And their biggest problem is going to be how reliable, how well it works, and will the bits work on day one, because we are not talking guys who buy a product and will wait 3 months for the firmware update to fix the fact that it keeps losing recordings halfway through a shoot or something like that. This product is going to have to be 100% on day one, or it will be kicked to the curb. The people who use products like this cannot afford for something to go wrong. And my only concern with DJI is they are well known for delivering a lot from a marketing, but then dealing with issues later down the line if they fix them. And this is the problem with DJI. They are entering a market. You know, this costs, the 6K version is $7,000, and then the 8K is $11,000. And that doesn't include everything. So you can spend more than that. You really can. I think in some ways DJI are going to be in a bubble, and they don't realize how much damage they'll do if this isn't perfect on day one. And it has to be perfect. Not a bug, not a quirk, not a feature missing. Do what it says. And we're going to have to see how that ends up going, because those pro users won't tolerate it. Those pro users will not tolerate it. So we're going to have to see. But it's an interesting product. As I've said, there's been a great review, and something made me laugh. If you haven't seen it, all of the usuals have put reviews out on it, right? So Ronin 4D, all of the usual suspects, Peter McKinnon, and Peter made me laugh. Philip Bloom hasn't put his up yet. I'm really interested in what Philip Bloom says. Potato Jet, for those who follow this stuff, all of the usuals. But something which was really funny on Peter McKinnon's review, right? And it was like an overview review. And I think this really shows how little time these guys had with these units to really try it. And I'll jump to the end. And I'll put it up. Stop. He's talking about it. Oh. Sorry, jumped the video. Here we go. Let me put it full screen. So he's looking at the camera because they've recorded all of their footage on it, right? And he looks at the camera. And he starts noticing, and he's thinking, hold on a minute. What's going on here? Notices that the end of the lens will turn, because he's trying to give it a clean. And notices it comes off, and then look what is attached. Yes, there was a film over the lens whilst he was reviewing it, whilst he was recording it with all of the footage. It was still on the camera. Now, big kudos to him for showing that in the video, to be fair to him, because he could have hidden it. But I have seen more than one review of this product, and I've seen the super chat. I'll come to that in a second. More than one review where they seem to have had this late, without instructions, with no information, just a box turn up and try to put it together. And this is DJI all over. I've dealt with this loads of times. And it just shows the... You know, this is a 12 grand bit of kit, yet it turned up last minute with no instructions. They need to change how they deal with pro users, because it's not going to go well. It's not going to go well if it's got bugs. If it's got, I would love to try this and give it a look. As I said, I used to run the Ronin group for DJI. I've been involved in things, so I know some good people there. I'd love to give it a try. It's far over spec for what I need, but I'd love to give it a try. I would love to feed back on it. I have a lot of experience using that kind of product. So I would like to feed back from a technical standpoint, but it is going to be interesting. It was honest to show it. I saw Potato Jet's review. I've seen a number of reviews saying to you how great it's going to be. It's the best thing since sliced bread. But I still think people will pick this up and go, wow, that's cool. That's amazing. That's fantastic. And then it'll stay there for shoots. It won't get used. Now, it is interesting when you look at DJI, right? And I'll just put this back up. You can't order one of these today. You can't buy one. All you can do is express interest. You can reserve. You can't order one. You can't buy it. So what they're doing is they're gauging interest. They're trying to understand how many of these they need to make. If there isn't enough interest, I can see it getting dumped. I'll be honest. Because they won't want to push too many. But what I did find surprising, and this was the last comment I was going to make, was the lack of reviews. So if we look at how many reviews, DJI Ronin 4D, so DJI Ronin 4D, okay? We have DJI's video. We have Potato Jet, 1, Peter McKinnon, 2, B&H did 1, 3, Parker Woolbach, Corridor Crew, Peter Lungreen, Kai Wen. I watched his. He's a good guy. He's in the UK. Parker Woolbach, another one. No. But when you look, right, there was only... How many is this? There is non-DJI, 1, 2... Ignore that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 reviews. Look at the Jetson. What's the Jetson? 9 reviews. Only 9 reviews. Tells you everything. Philip Bloom's is due to come. I do know he's got one, but 9 out there. In the old days, you'd have had loads. Now, it's going to be interesting to see with this new Osmo how many people have got it. And something I did notice today, We Talk UAV have started back up again. A lot of these DJI channels went really quiet, right, when people stopped using... When DJI killed the affiliate program and people weren't buying anything. All of these channels just vanished. Didn't do anything. They're all waking back up now because there's products to talk about because of that. Those of us who've been here a long time, who never changed, aren't involved. But I can guarantee there'll be all of these channels that have been seeded these products. But if I can borrow one, if I can borrow a Mavic 3, I will, and I will review it. Okay, the super chat. Miguel T. First of all, massive thank you for the $10 super chat, my friend. Hi, been flying mostly annual transition into DJI. Got a Cadex Vista based in the US. Do I need to power mod to 1 watt or over? Only 700 max, thank you. Okay, so as you're in the US, you'll already be in FCC mode, but you will need to do the hack to get up to 1200. So you will be locked to 700 milliwatts, but you can unlock it to 1200 milliwatts. To do that, you need to do the hack on the goggles. So it's NACO, NACO _power. Let me just find it. I have a video on how to do it, but it is quicker to go DJI. It's not FCC hack. It's 1200 milliwatt. There is a video there. There it is. My video comes up at the top of YouTube search for that one. But if you go on to, where is it? It should, I would have thought it would have come up. Where's Oscar Lang's? His usually comes up. Oh, there it is at the top. Sorry, I missed it. Oscar Lang has it and the 1200 milliwatt, so you can go down. And the 1200 milliwatt is, copy. You need to create a file called naco _power.tx. And to create that file, you put power 1 in the text file or power 2 for 1200. Just do power 2. So create a text file on your computer called naco _power. Don't write .txt at the end. It'll probably do that already. So if you do it in Notepad, if you actually open Notepad, so we open Notepad just like this. So we'll put it up on the desktop. We're going to create inside naco _PWR2, if I'm right off the top of my head. Copy. Oh no, power _2. Sorry. Power _2 as the hack. It's been a while since I've actually done it. Yeah, so power _2. File. Save it on your computer, on your desktop or whatever. NACO _PWR. Oh, God, it didn't type. Now it's waiting for an internal hard drive to spin up now. Yes, yes. NACO_PWR. Save it as that. Job done. Put that on the SD card. Put that in the FPV goggles, not the air unit. Obviously, you've got a Vista, so you can't put it on the SD card. And then that'll give you 1200 milliwatts. But if you search for Oscar Lang, you could do it that way. Okay, so FPV drone updates. Don't know anything on that one, Mad Manix. There's been a fly app update. It's minor. I haven't looked at it myself yet. I'll probably have a look at this week. I should even have the file you can download on that video I showed. No, they haven't. I have had no contact from anyone regarding that video. At all. No, no one's contacted me, and I'm not expecting them to now. I've done my bit. Someone said Powerful's put up a video, is he? Let's just have a quick look. What's he done? YouTube. Ian, YouTube the Jetsons. Do I just say the Jetson? What is it though? What am I looking for? What is the Jetson? Is it let me just see if Pavel, what's he put up? Someone said, why canvas mode? DJI, what is canvas mode and why? Yeah, someone did give me a complaint of why I didn't say what canvas mode was in my video. And that's why I had to put a comment in under now. I'm just having a look at Pavel's video now.
Mode is the mode where, for the OSD, where the flight controller is using the OSD screen as a canvas. That means you can paint whatever it wants, something. However, telemetry.
So he goes into a technical.
Will in the applies the FPV system. Sure, because you would be if the canvas mode would be working.
Okay, so he's just put a cool. Okay, so there's that. So what am I looking for? I am looking for the Jetson drone. Yeah, I did see something on this. Go away. So for those, let's get rid of the music. We don't need that. Yeah, it's a decapitation waiting to happen, isn't it? Open props. Yes, that's going to end well, isn't it? Let's be honest. Is there anyone in that? Is he wearing a helmet? I couldn't quite see. It's going to be fine until you crash. Just look at the props there. Interesting, though. Why would they not cage them? In some ways as well, why do I want to risk being in that when I can just fly FPV? Do you know what I mean? If it's not a method of transport, why would, well, personally for me, why would I want to be in it when I can just feel the same, sort of the same in FPV? Not quite the same, but we can do it in FPV. Interesting. I hope their soldering's better than the other thing we've seen. You won't feel the slice. Filters are too low and the thing flies away. 92k if I want one. Wow. Wow, 92,000. Evening, Espander, how are you? Bulletproof glass. They say it has a parachute. Yeah, it'll bring back a part of you. They were caged on the first model, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That is utterly crazy. Utterly crazy. Now, Miguel T, if you haven't sorted it, right, if you want to pop over to my Discord server, there is a link to it in the description of this video and the other ones. I'm more than happy to help you over there as well if you haven't sorted the 1200 milliwatt hack. So if you do want to know about it, please do head over to there and I'll give you help and support there if I can as well. There is a section for DJI FPV, so come in there, say hello, say who you are, and we'll get you sorted. And we'll get that done. Now, guys, that is it from me for tonight. That is the end of this live stream. I'd like to thank you all for spending some time with me. There are some videos coming up this week, but I haven't quite decided which ones I'm putting live yet. I'm not sure. I'm begun to get some stacked up. There is going to be a lot more coming from me in ExpressLRS. There's going to be a lot more coming on the receivers, more on the scope. I got to do a review on that scope as well. I've had enough time with it now. And I did see, sorry, thing mentioned about his scope. Where is, I can't search the chat. Can I search the chat? No, I can't search the chat. Thing with the scope. What is it you said you'd found on yours? Let me find it. I want to find out about that because I need to talk to you about that. Come on the Discord server and harass me what you found about your scope. I'm still not 100% happy with mine. I have ordered a new camera for that scope. Higher resolution, better camera. Should be here in about a week, 10 days. Again, that's what the support of you guys allows me to do, is things like that. So I have ordered another camera that's en route. I'm not 100% happy with any of the optics on the trinocular port. Something does feel off on this one. Now, part of me is tempted. Part of me is tempted to remove the plastic. Nicely done. Very, very nicely done, Dennis. Very nicely done. There is a prism in there, and I don't know, do I need to move? It's sealed, but I don't know. Something feels off. So I need to wait and see on that, but that's due this week. I'm hoping the HD0 camera is going to come, and when that does come, I will review that properly. Yeah, and there is all sorts of strange behavior with these cameras. Some real strange behavior, especially when you change the lens, because I've gone down to the 0.35 and I'm getting vignetting now. And what I've actually had to do is rotate the adapter slightly, and it works. So there's a lot more to come on that. There is more videos to come. A lot more on ExpressLRS. I still want LED gimbals for the Mambo. I might order in the clear. If I can get the clear casing, I might order that and make an LED one. We'll see. But anyway, thank you everyone for spending some time with me tonight. I'd like to thank you. If you want to support the channel, if you're still here and you haven't, there are links in the description. Also, please consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Now I need to find the button. Where is it? It's up here. Please stay safe, look after yourselves, and I will speak to you guys again soon. And I'll see you same time, same place next week. Button 1, button 2.